Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews, an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 17 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show. We're meeting with Ryan Sawchuk, the founder of ReUp Living, to discuss how ReUp is disrupting the real estate market, expansion through franchising, and plans to open an experience center in Las Vegas this fall. ReUp is a pre-listing solution for homeowners, buyers, and real estate agents that increases a home's value by remodeling it with no risk or upfront costs before selling. We're going to talk to Ryan about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com. Or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 17 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show. We're meeting with Ryan Sawchuk, the founder of ReUp Living, to discuss how ReUp is disrupting the real estate market, expansion through franchising, and plans to open an experience center in Las Vegas this fall. Hi, Ryan. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Marty. Really appreciate you hosting me. Thank you for having me.
Oh, this is my pleasure, Ryan. We also like to ask our guests, where are you calling from today, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm here in sunny, hot Austin, Texas. So enjoying the beautiful August day we've got.
Okay, fantastic. And is that where like your headquarters is located, Ryan?
Yep, we're located right here in Austin, Texas. Proud to be a Texas-born business.
That's fantastic. That's great. Well, I know I have a lot of friends in Texas, and I know it's a great state. Maybe we can kind of go back to a little bit about, we'll talk a little bit about your experience before joining ReUp, Ryan. It sounds a little bit like you had like some experience in finance and maybe even sales. Maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah. My background was originally, I thought I wanted to be an investment banker. I thought that was the lifestyle I wanted. So I actually got my master's of science and finance from Hopkins. Found out very quickly going into the industry, did not like it, but I enjoyed watching the founder of the bank I was working at sell. So I wanted to learn more about sales. So I figured let's move out to Silicon Valley. And I've worked for some amazing companies out in Silicon Valley, leading Zora's global sales development campaign team, and then also CrowdStrike's global sales development team, and was really proud to lead CrowdStrike's sales development team before the IPO because we were the fastest company to reach $1 billion in revenue.
Wow.
And we're really applying a lot of the stuff that we did at CrowdStrike to our business here at ReUp.
That's fantastic. I was reading, Ryan. I mean, it sounded like there was an inspiration for ReUp. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what inspired you to start the company.
Yeah, so it's an unfortunate circumstance for one of my friends, but we were founded in 21, right at the beginning of the year, during the middle of COVID, and my friend, her mom had just actually passed away due to COVID.
Okay.
So not expected, just comes crashing through life, and she's trying to settle the estate. She inherits the house that's out of state as well, and she didn't have the time, energy, or knowledge or money to fix up the house, and she ended up just giving the house up to the bank. And I don't care if you're left or right. I think really we're all fighting about the same thing, and we're fighting about lack of opportunity. So I wanted to come up with a win-win model where a person who owns a house or wants to get on the property ladder can win with us through creative financing and the advent of technology.
I think it's a great reason why you started the company, Ryan. And I remember also in an interview I was reading with you, you said something that I was totally unaware of. You mentioned something like 80% of first-time home buyers regret their decision. Maybe you talk a little bit about that, because that's a problem that ReUp actually solves.
Yeah. So our patented process, we actually have our base technology where we digitize the house before it goes live and listing. Whether we're doing our full services package or just digitizing it and letting a buyer augment what they want and wrapping it up into the mortgage. But 80% of first-time home buyers last year regretted their purchase decision. And there's a few reasons for it, but you got to think about the core reason. A lot of people don't think about the house as a product, but it is a product at the end of the day. And I didn't tell you what to wear this morning, so why am I going to tell you what your bedroom color is going to be? And we see all these flipping shows where, they say, well, will this color look good next to this color? And I'm of the mindset, if you want pink floors, let's get you pink floors. We can do it. So let's put the power of the design in a fun, immersive experience through our base platform back into the buyer, so we're designing the house exactly to their specifications so they move into their home of their dreams right away.
It sounds like, what you've done too, Ryan, it's interesting because my mom, she just recently purchased a home. She's 80 years old, she's up there. And I can tell you that, the last several months, it's been very stressful. And I understand it's been a while since I've purchased a home, but there was like a statistic also that it's just like one of the most stressful things you can do is buy a home, isn't it?
Yeah, and to me, when I'm seeing all this stuff, it just means that there's a massive opportunity. So one of the things that we also do at ReUp is we really focus on the experience. And you got to think about the milestone moments that you go through in life. It's your first kiss, it's your wedding, it's your first car purchase, your first home purchase. So let's make it fun, interactive. When we do our full services packages, we actually we put a 42-inch TV in the house where you can play around with space. We've got a wine fridge with some sodas, some wine, and adult beverages and things like that. And we really want to make it this immersive experience. And we actually leave that stuff behind as a little welcome package. And we say, hey, welcome to your new house. Pop on some Netflix on the new TV that we're leaving behind. Crack a bottle of champagne and enjoy the new house. And we're really using the base platform also as that next generation home life cycle software. So a lot of the stress and management of, what color is this? I need to patch this wall. It's all stored within the base platform, so you can easily access all that stuff.
I think it's fantastic. And, in addition to all that, being a win-win situation, it sounds like this is also, I guess we could say it's a relationship business, Ryan, as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so we distribute through real estate agents, and real estate agents are having quite the year. There's a big shakeup that's happening. So we want to be that tool in the quiver, or the arrow in their quiver, to help really change the experience for their buyers and sellers. And we're also actually white labeling our entire solution. It helps actually generate a lot more leads for our franchises, but also helps our partner brokers really stand out from the crowd, and really brings the real estate industry into the 21st century.
How does it sounds like? It's also, in addition, Ryan, it sounds like technology, of course, is a very big part of this business, isn't it?
Yes, we are core technology first. I call us, we are a technology and a services based business, and that's also something I took from CrowdStrike. one of the reasons that we were so successful was we had services that fed information into the technology to make it smarter. And then vice versa, the technology made the services team that much more efficient as well.
Right.
And it really creates this nice win-win and a really nice data lake for us to continue to understand more and more of the nuances of each individual real estate market.
What point, Ryan, did you know? So, like, when you started the business, I guess was it 2021? I mean, did you know initially that you were going to franchise the concept, or is this something that just kind of, evolved later on?
Yeah, so I was actually watching Zillow and Opendoor, and I watched them both blow up in spectacular fashions when they were trying to buy everybody's house and try to manage all these projects across the country. And that was really one of the aha moments to me, where I was like, real estate's hyperlocal, and they're making these decisions from their glass tower, and it's causing problems for middle America, but it's also causing problems for their company as well, because they think that they know everything. And that really spurred on the idea of franchising, because real estate's hyperlocal. And I'll say this, our first forecast call actually with our Vegas team, we were telling them what floors we installed in Texas, which is luxury vinyl plank usually. And the Vegas team goes, whoa, nobody has that here. We all use tile because it's so hot. And again, just having that knowledge from the local level of franchises, again, just gets this really, really nice experience for our customers, which is ultimately what we want. We want happy, smiling customers at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so important. You were talking about aha moments, Ryan, and I imagine you've probably had a lot of them over the years, since starting ReUp. What's been, let's say, maybe a tough question, because to narrow it down to one answer is going to be difficult, but what's been one of the most interesting things that's happened to you, since starting ReUp?
Yeah, so I remember before we franchised and before we actually patented the process of letting a buyer choose what they want to have before they move into on a resold house, we had a moment with an agent, and we're talking with this agent. This agent's not happy about the garage door color. And we just picked a white garage door. We were finishing them out like typical flippers and things like that. She said, the garage door is really ugly. I don't like it white. And that was an aha moment for us. In that moment, we actually pitched Courtney. We said, hey, actually, would you mind if we stopped construction now? The house is structurally fixed, but we want to test this out. We want to see, does somebody buy this house and choose the finish outs that they want so we can design the product to their specification. This was when things were slowing down actually in the marketplace, and she said, I'd love to do it. We had multiple offers. The house went within the same weekend and everything. And again, I tune it to, we're designing products exactly to the buyer's specifications. And this is going to be the largest purchase most people make in their life. So let's make it fun. Let's make it theirs.
What's important to you, Ryan, when taking on a new franchisee? I mean, are there any types of characteristics or traits that are important to you, when taking on a new franchisee?
Yeah, there's two traits that we really look for in our franchisees, and that's one, questioning why. We are very, very forward-leaning, and a lot of things that you see us do are not typical standard practices in like home flipping, like, again, allowing the buyer to customize the house. And we want to challenge the common notion in that. So our franchisees need to sit there and say, like, yes, you've sold it this way, but there's actually an even better way for us to sell when we're talking to our real estate agent. So we need to have a franchisee who understands, like, let's question the why and the conventional wisdom. And then the second piece that we really look for is really somebody who is a challenger. So this goes into the sales motion. When you're evaluating ReUp, you fall in love with the business model, but at the end of the day, we are asking for somebody to give us their most valuable asset. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to destroy it. We'll put it back together, but that's a big trust factor that we've got to build.
Yes.
So we really want to make sure that we've got that challenger sales mentality who can help coach that client through the sales process, because it takes a lot of trust to win over one of our deals.
Sure, of course. Yeah, I think that's well said. How does the training work, Ryan? I know a lot of training for franchises has changed over the years, particularly since COVID. I mean, so do they come to corporate headquarters? Is there some like online component to it? Maybe you could talk a little bit about, how the training works and what's included in the training.
Yeah, so we do a mix of both. We can do remote if you're really, really wanting to come on and we're not able to align schedules, but we prefer in person. So we'll fly out to you and be in your market or fly you to one of our franchisees' markets. And that's something that we work with you to understand on onboarding. It's essentially 3 days of pretty intensive training where it's focusing mainly around sales methodologies, sales skills, and then the latter part of it really goes into the project management, how we actually have all the systems, draw requests and things like that. So it's pretty intensive on that. And then there's a 90-day launch plan. So we do a 30, 60, 90-day planning strategy with the franchise about these are the goals and the team members that we want to see on your team as we continue to broaden the team's horizon. And then from there, we've got a lot of different things. We're staying in touch on weekly forecast calls with our franchisee. We've got monthly all-hands trainings. One thing I'm really proud of is we actually put our manual into ChatGPT. So you don't have a 200-page manual. You do have a 200-page manual, but you can also sit there and just ask ReUp GPT a question, and it should spit out an answer pretty quickly for you. So it's pretty fun business overall, and we've got to invest in our people. That's something I believe in strongly.
A lot of people, they get into franchising, Ryan, because it's a means to an end. So maybe you could talk a little bit about, if there is such a thing, like, what is a typical day like for your franchisees?
Yeah. So a typical day is working with a couple of their team members. The core of their team is their sales team. So they've usually got about 2 or 3 account executives on their team as they're starting out, talking about the pipeline, talking about the target accounts that they want to go after, brokers, and also individual agents. And then also checking in on their project management side as well. So the project management side, we've got to make sure that we're giving really nice updates to our clients, keeping them abreast of all the updates that are happening. Hey, we found mold behind this wall. It's going to push construction back a week or something like that. So really, and again, we want to get in front of those problems. This is construction. Like, there will be problems. And again, one of the things we want to do is just be that lens to the client where it's like, you're not having to deal with the GC, you're dealing with us. We understand the experience that we want to provide to you. So that's another big component about it. And then really also continuing to educate and be that evangelist in that local market. There's a lot of ways that you can sell ReUp and a lot of different ways that you can monetize it, and really honing in on those ways that you want to as a franchisor or a franchisee, going into your market and tackling it the right way.
That's great. The majority of our listeners, Ryan, we call them aspiring franchipreneurs. Most of them have it in their mind that they would like to get into franchising, but franchising has become a little bit competitive today. Like when I first got involved in it, many years ago, I think there was 1,200 systems, like around 1999, and today they say there's almost 4,000 different systems. So it must be a little bit overwhelming for someone to say, okay, which one do I go with? Which one is the best match? From everything that you've learned up to this point in your life, I mean, what advice would you give to our listeners then in their quest to buy a franchise?
Yeah, I would say look at the moats of the business. We'll look at the competitive moats of the business. What are the barriers to entry? Like, think about this. If you buy a sub shop, is somebody, even if the franchisor has areas of protection, maybe you have another sub shop coming in from another franchisor. Right next door. So you want to really make sure that your business is protected, which is something that we've really focused on. We've got really 3 really nice moats. We've got our patent and our IP protections. We've got our technology layer. And then we've also got the franchise network. It's really, really hard to duplicate this type of a business. And that really lets us swim in these really nice blue oceans where it's not us dogfighting our competition.
Yeah, it's powerful. That's what I was thinking of, blue ocean strategy, as you're talking about the model. Maybe we could talk a little bit about the future then, Ryan. I mean, if you can look into a crystal ball, whether it's 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, I mean, where do you see ReUp? I know there was something about, you creating like an experience center in Las Vegas this fall. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the future in that.
Yeah, so we're really excited about our experience center that we're opening up, and this is something that's really nice from our franchisees. They come to us with ideas, and we say we also want to use that idea, and we're backing our franchisee for our Vegas Experience Center. But we took down a building. It's two blocks away from the Vegas Sphere. It's also a development area, so we've got an option on this property, and it's actually gained quite a bit of value through the remodel that we've also put on top of it. So it's another way for our franchisee to make income overall. But it's really where we want to bring people in and have them touch the product. It's hard to explain to somebody, hey, we're going to digitize the home. We're going to go through a remodel. We're going to not finish it out, and we're going to let somebody pick what they want. with the experience center, they can feel, touch, and see everything. And again, see the experience that we really want to bring people in and really change that 80% of people who regretted their decision and move it into, this was a fantastic experience and a life milestone for me. So that's something that we're really focused on. But the other piece that I'm really, really excited about, and this is just proven out to be really, really good for us from a lead capture perspective, is our white labels. So we're white labeling those 3 moats to brokers so they can show that they're coming into the digital age and digitally transforming their portfolios. But it's really generating all these services leads for our franchises. We actually just signed another full services deal actually from one of our white labels yesterday. So it was really exciting to see that come out. But we're working to digitize really every house in the U.S. And what we want that base platform to be is we want to sit there, do the services, make it the dream house, but then be this platform that you manage the house. Why are you going to the furniture store to look for furniture? Why are you not just sipping a glass of wine with your significant other on the couch playing around in base and ordering it through there or insurance, all sorts of things. So we want to create this marketplace that's really interactive and easy for you to maintain your house versus all these lists that are out there. And it's just archaic.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful, and I think it's a great service, Ryan. You know, I've interviewed a lot of pizza franchises over the years, you know, and transmission franchises, and this. So when I saw this, I said, wow, this is really exciting. I don't think I've ever interviewed, you know, this is my 900th interview, and I haven't interviewed anyone, you know, as far as like what you're doing. You know, you talked about Blue Ocean, so I think it's really exciting. What's the best way, Ryan, for our listeners to get more information on ReUp? Of course, you know, as a franchise opportunity, but maybe even the service itself. Are there any like websites you can kind of direct our listeners to?
Yeah, our website is reupliving.com, and then there's a franchise tab that will take you right to the franchise section, and there's a lot of information there.
That's fantastic. Well, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed talking to you, Ryan, and I'd already like to invite you back over the next year or two as you continue to grow, because I think this is really exciting, and I'm going to continue to follow you.
Well, really appreciate the time, and thank you very much for connecting, and looking forward to our next conversation.
This has been my pleasure, Ryan, and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up in our next segment, we will be playing a clip from our Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews, an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys. And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, we've been hosting Franchise Interviews many years now, and during that time, we've had some incredible quotes on this show. So picture this scenario. You just started a company, and you need to hire a chief marketing officer, chief financial officer, and chief operating officer. How much do you think it'll cost to achieve this task? What if you could start a company that immediately has these positions already filled in place and ready to go? Would you be interested? Well, today's great quote in franchising comes from Ben Crosby of Franchise Development for the Drip Bar Franchise Opportunity. And Ben discusses this notion on this Great Quotes in Franchising podcast. So here we go with Ben Crosby of the Drip Bar Franchise Opportunity. Advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise? Because there is so much out there today. There's more to choose from. It could be a little confusing to someone who's new to getting involved in franchising. So what advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise?
Yeah, be open-minded. Talk and learn through the business first. You know, we on the Fran Dev side things, but most should be looking to educate the consumer first and the prospects, because at the end of the day, if you understand and have a passion for whatever business it is, you have a higher chance of being successful. Franchising is a great opportunity because you're really partnering with a C-level team.
Right.
Confirming that they're actually a C-level team is very important as well. When you're a prospect looking around, you don't want to be sold, a false hope, false promises.
Right.
But if everything is checks off, you appreciate and understand the business, and you like the team that's there to support you, really in the early times, focus on working with the team. Get rid of all the distractions in the periphery. Work with the team, be transparent, be motivated to be successful, and a good franchise system will give you all the tools in order to be successful.
Yeah, I haven't heard that before in 14 years, Ben, as you mentioned, to partner with C-level partners. You know what I mean? That's right. You don't get that experience when you go into your own business, and I think that's really. If you'd like to hear that whole interview with Ben Crosby of the Drift Bar franchise opportunity, all you have to do is go to franchiseinterviews.com and go to our franchise interviews listed alphabetically page, or you can go to our franchise interviews listed by category page, and you can go under health and fitness. And lastly, we'd just like to thank everyone for making this podcast such a big hit, and we'll see you again soon with another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising from Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.